Well, hello and welcome to today's video. Do you think that you need to make sales before you start building your artist collectors list? Think again, you don't. You can actually start today growing your collectors list from scratch without having made any sales. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through step by step how you can grow that collectors list from scratch. And we're also going to talk about the difference between what is a collectors list versus what is a general email list. You've heard me on this channel talk an awful lot about building your artist's mailing list. Email list, mailing list, same thing. We're going to talk about what the difference is specifically between that email list and a collector's list. And I'm going to share with you 20 ways that you can start building that collector's list today. So grab a pen and paper because you're going to want to take some notes. And at the end of the video, I'm going to challenge you. Choose somewhere between 3 and 5 of these things that you can do today. 3 to 5 strategies that you could just get going straight away, starting to put names on that collector's list. Yes, still, even if you've not made a sale. You might be thinking, Sophie, how is that possible? Well, you better watch this video to find out. So first up, what is the difference between an email list and a collector's list? Well, the email list is a broad term for all those people who kind of find out about you. They might see you on social media, they might have landed on your website, they might have watched a YouTube video, and perhaps you've got a way for them to sign up and join that list, and perhaps they've gone, yeah, do you know what, I'm interested, I'm vaguely interested, I like something that I saw. They're not fully committed, but they've joined your list anyway. Perhaps they receive your weekly email that you send out or you intend to send out. So that's more of a general list. And at this point, they're not really probably buyers. They might not ever be buyers. They might not be interested in buying anything. They might just want to follow you. It's still a vital activity. You absolutely must grow an email list because you just don't know from one of those people who vaguely interested. In 6 months' time, they might go from that to being very interested to another couple of months on buying something, right? You just don't know. So you definitely want that catch-all. You want to nurture that. You want to grow those connections. But a collector's list is a little bit different. It's a section, if you like, of a general mailing list. It's people who, well, once you've made sales, it's people who have bought. It's people who have maybe had a discussion with you at a show and they've nearly bought. They didn't quite commit, but they're nearly there. It's people who've said to you, perhaps on social media, oh my God, I really love that. I could really see that in my house. I could imagine that's in my kitchen. People who constantly show up and show you love. Oh, I love your work. I love your work. I love following. I love your new collection. They're commenting, right? These people are in a different kind of category. These people, if you like, are going to be your VIPs. You're going to nurture that list. You just don't know where you're going to get those names from, right? And this is exactly what we're going to share today. You might find that some of them even end up on a piece of paper somewhere and you transfer that into your sort of main system, as it were. So how do you start to grow specifically the collector's list? And you have a couple of options. So one is you could keep that totally separate to the email list. You could even be super old-fashioned and keep it on a spreadsheet. And I am going to give you a tip at the end of something I think it would be really great for you to collect as you are collecting these people's details. So make sure to hang in for that because I think this last kind of idea is really going to help you. And then you might also just say, okay, now actually I've got a good email system. I've set up my mailing list. I'm happy with that. I'm actually going to create a separate list within there. I'm going to segment my list and that's going to be my VIP section. So you can do it in a couple of different ways. We just got to remember, if you want to send marketing emails, you still have to send that from a specific email marketing platform where there is a legal unsubscribe button at the bottom. So if you do keep those names on a spreadsheet, you either are going to get in touch with them a different way or you're going to have to get their permission to email them. All right, so let's talk about the 20 ways you can start building this collector's list from scratch. All right, so I've got my trusty iPad just to remind me because 20 ways is a lot of different things. So first up, we're going to think about who do you already know? That's it might seem obvious, but you probably haven't really actually done anything with that. What about friends and family? Now you might say, oh, Sophie, they're not really my customer. How do you know? The very first people that bought my art were friends of mine, all right? Very close friends. they loved me and they loved what I did and they wanted to invest in that. So please don't write that off at all. So friends and family, think about people who have been a bit invested in your journey, want to come into the studio and have a look at what you're doing. People who ask you, oh, you know, what are you doing? Or I've seen some photos, I really like what you're doing. Okay, so think about those people, write those names down. First people in. What if you've taught a workshop, for example, and you've had past workshop attendees and they've shown interest in the work that you do aside from what you've been teaching? So it could be that somebody came along, maybe you taught an art workshop, a painting workshop, and somebody's expressed an interest in, oh, we really love your work, right? So that's a throwaway comment. You're going to go back through your paperwork and you look for that person's name and you're going to add that person to your list. What about colleagues or old colleagues or acquaintances? Maybe you're going to go through your phone and look at people, or address book if you have an address book. Or you're going to think about places that you've worked before if you've been in a job, and you think about people again who've shown interest in what you're doing. Just you're going to go through, and there might only be one name, two names, but those could actually be gold dust. They're going on your VIP list. So you're going to just put all these names down. What about a local creative community? Maybe you meet up with people in a local environment. Is there somebody there who's shown an interest? So think about local groups. And sometimes we just go to, I don't know, we go to a yoga class and people ask, oh, what are you doing? You have a chat at the end, you socialize a little bit. Oh, you're a painter. Oh, you're a photographer. Oh, you make clay things. Oh, that's amazing. You know, can I see what you're doing? Oh, I follow you on social media. Oh, that works amazing. I'd like to know more. Right, they could be somebody that could also now be going on that VIP interest list. So people who have asked about your art. So if you have been exhibiting, you've had a show, you've been at a market, you've been at a fair, and you've had a conversation and they've liked it, and you can sense that they're nearly buying, but they didn't buy in the end. Those people. So you're going to think to yourself right now, where have you been? What have you done? What conversations did you have? And maybe you wrote it down in a notebook. You know, maybe you just didn't think about, oh, I'm going to put that name somewhere more important. Anywhere that you've got this information, right, grab these names and I would start with a spreadsheet. Just input them into a simple spreadsheet. Now let's talk about social media. If you're on social media, let's look at, you know, what could be signs that somebody is, again, more interested than other people. So for example, who's a follower that regularly comments every time you post something about your art? And somebody who's really taking an interest, who actually maybe even asks a question, something like really gets involved in the comment and comments every time you post. You could put that person's name on your list. What about people who share or save your posts? Now you can go into your insights and see who has saved the post. That is again a bit of a sign that perhaps they're thinking, oh, this is really nice, it might look nice in my lounge, I'm going to share that. So again, and you could have a different section on your spreadsheet, people that you know, that you've got names of, people that you who are followers on social media, you can just add those names. And there are so many things that you can do once you have this collectors list. Think about Facebook. What about Facebook friends? Maybe you have an art page, or you have a profile, or you have both. Have you got friends or followers on Facebook who comment regularly on your work? Right? It's got to be somebody that's constantly commenting. Oh my God, this is beautiful. This is lovely. This is really interesting. I really love this particular piece, or I prefer these ones over these ones. So again, maybe just grab that name, add it to your list. Anyone who's sent you a message about a piece. Now, here's the caveat. We all know that we all get spammed. So we need to make sure it's a real person and it's a real conversation. But somebody you've had a conversation with in the DMs, as they say. So somebody who's reached out and you can see they're a real person. Oh, hey, I'm a friend of so-and-so. I really love your work. You know, I'm thinking of investing in some art. I'm not quite sure where to start, or I'm not quite ready yet, or I'm renovating some rooms and I'm interested perhaps in having some of your work down the track. Something like that, okay? That somebody should definitely be going on your collectors list. If you're on LinkedIn, for example, let's not forget that platform, then maybe you've posted your art on there. And again, you've got somebody, and maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, okay, I've used LinkedIn because I really would like to get my work into businesses, into large corporations, into hotel chains, or something flying around in the studio. Something a little bit more on that scale. So maybe you're posting your work on LinkedIn and maybe somebody's constantly engaging in that post there. Then that person, you can say, oh, I've got a LinkedIn list now. So now I've got a category for LinkedIn, for Instagram, for Facebook, and just for general. You see how it's going? So let's talk about community and events. Maybe you've done a market stall or a fair and you've had conversations and someone's come up to you and said, oh, I really like that. I really like your work. I'd prefer something more with blues in it, or I'm looking for something larger, smaller. But shows that they're interested, and we hope that you wrote that name down at that event. And if you didn't, you will be on the next time, won't you? You will be writing that name down on the next event. So that'll be a little reminder. Must have a notebook and write that person's name down. And you can always say to them, would you mind if I just kept your details, because in the future I might do larger work, smaller work, or work with blue in, and then if it's okay I can reach out to you and let you know. And they'll probably just go, yeah, sure, that's fine. You can even reach out to neighbours or locals in your area and say, I'm putting together like a studio list of people who might be interested in coming and looking at my work and my process, and maybe I'm going to be doing an open studio shortly. Would you be interested in being on that list? Now, for some of these strategies, you might think, oh my God, Sophie, that's just too much. I'm not going to do that. But others of you might be in an environment where you think, well, I could just drop some flyers through. Maybe you rent a studio in an area where there are lots of shops or offices, and you could just create that flyer, and you could even just give them a link. Hey, if you'd like to be the first person to find out about the latest collection, or if you'd like to be finding out more about when I have an open studio, you click this link and join my VIP list. I think it's pretty good. Of course, if you live in the middle of nowhere, that's not going to work. And this next one really is the open studio thing. So when you have an open studio, you definitely want to invite people to leave their details on a piece of paper when they visited your open studio. So obviously, if you have not made any sales yet, maybe you've not been to a fair, you've not had a show, one of the things you could do if you do have a studio, or you work from your garage or wherever you work from, that you could open up and let people come in. That could be one of the first things you could do. And you could just invite, you could flyer the local area, you could use any social media, you could reach out to people come and have a look at my collection in my studio, and then when people turn up, you grab their details there. So people who are interested will leave details. Usually people who are not interested will just walk out and not write on your kind of visitors book. So that's a bit of an indication. Don't neglect fellow artists who love your work. We buy other people's art, right? Do you buy other people's art? I know that I do. So, maybe reach out to your fellow artists in local area and just sort of get a feeling for anybody who might like to go on that list. And you'll know because you'll have had conversations with them, and they'll be like, oh, I really love your work. Again, we're thinking outside the box here with different ideas. Okay, what about sort of online content now? Let's think about this. And again, we're sort of narrowing it down from people who've just opted in generally to the list. You created a freebie that's a downloadable print of some of your art. And you're going to see who has actually clicked and downloaded that. And you should be able to tell, because some people will get the email and they'll never click on the link and they'll never download the work, right? But people who've clicked on it, and you have to assume at that point they've clicked, they've downloaded it, will only be a proportion of the email list. People sign up to stuff all the time, right? They get the email, oh yeah, I've got to print it out, I'll do that later. If they're really keen, they sign up to the list. It's like, oh, I get a downloadable print of this artist, how fantastic. They'll download it and they'll go off and they'll print it. And you might even find they might even post it up on social media. You might even spot that somewhere and they might even tag you in it. Hey, guess what? I got this downloadable print from this artist. So you can, again, do a little bit of behind the scenes work, and you can grab people's details from there and just segment them. And when you're doing it online, you could just create a tag for anybody who's actually downloaded that. If you've got a YouTube channel and you're posting about your art, anyone who, again, repeatedly leaves thoughtful, interesting comments. So I'm really interested in that piece you've just spoken about, or this is really beautiful. I love your new work. It's amazing. I'm going to go look at your website. It's not a general, oh yeah, this is great kind of comment. It's got to be somebody who's really engaged with what you're doing. You'll know the difference between those comments and the more general ones. Oh, I love this one. Replies to your email newsletter. So assuming you have got an email newsletter set up, even if you've only got a handful of people on it, and you send out your weekly email and you talk about what you've done, and maybe you're letting people know, I've got an open studio coming up, or I've got my first 2 pieces of work on my website, and somebody hits reply to your email and says, I really love this, I can't wait to come to the show, or I've looked at your website, I think everything is beautiful. Those people should be tagged onto the VIP list, all right? There's a difference between people who receive the email and people who take an action on the email like that. Those are definitely your VIPs. If you blog about your art or your creativity on your website and they leave a comment, you're getting the idea, right? Grab those people. You might even just have their name, and it could be that that name pops up again. We just want to grab whatever details you've got. Like I say at the end, I'm going to suggest one particular detail. It'd be great if you could get, but for the moment you just get whatever you've got and you just say, okay, this person's name commented on a blog, and you might be able to click through and you might get a surname, you might get something, but just for the moment, again, the name's on a spreadsheet. All right, here's the last couple of things that you could do to kind of spread the following a little bit further. So you could ask your current supporters, the people who are leaving those comments, the people who returned your email, the people that you know, and say, do you know anybody who you think might like my work? And you might go, oh my God, I can't do that, Sophie, but you could. And you're not asking for a sale, you're just asking for them to think or recommend. So if you wanted to know of a good restaurant, wouldn't you ask your friend, hey, do you know a really great Italian restaurant I can go to? We wouldn't have any hesitation. But why do we find it so difficult to say, do you know anybody who might like my semi-abstract florals? They might go, oh my God, my friend would love those. Oh, would it be all right if I had, a name, some details, a social media sort of platform that I could just follow them on? So, and all you could do, even if they gave that person's Instagram account, you could follow them and you could chat underneath the comments, and then they might go, oh, who's this person? Oh, I see we have a friend in common. Or you could send them a message and say, hey, my friend so-and-so gave you your details, I hope you don't mind. And you could start a conversation, because as we remember, business is about people, and we want to make connections and start conversations with real people, because that's how it leads to a sale. And it is going to be about us reaching out and taking that action. Here's the last thing that you can do. You could offer a refer a collector bonus. You could actually offer a small print or something of value for anyone who does refer somebody to you. And that really is such a great strategy. So there we have it. There's 20 ways that you can start building this collector's list. Now, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to commit to 3 to 5 of them. But first, I just want to share that little tip that I think is going to make all the difference. If you can, see if you can get a postal address. Now, it's a lot easier at, say, a physical event. So at a fair or at an open studios, you can get them to fill it out, and you can say, hey, if you don't mind leaving a postal address, then I'm going to be sending you occasionally a letter with a nice postcard in and an invite, a private view invite to my opening of the exhibition, if you would like that. Most people will be like, oh my God, I would love that. And they'll give you the address. So if you could start doing that, I mean, it sounds very old-fashioned in this day of email, and I've spoken about this before. The difference of receiving something through the post versus an email is huge. We all get hundreds of emails every day, but we don't all get letters. So imagine if we had a handwritten letter. You open it and in there is a cover note. Hi, I met you, or you attended my open studio recently. I'd love to invite you to the private viewing of my first exhibition. Do you think the chance of that person turning up is way more than if they just got an email? Absolutely. Chances are you put the invite on the fridge, you might even put the date in the calendar, and the chance of them turning up is much, much higher. So if there's any way you can get a physical address, I think that would be the thing to focus on. Okay, so now it's time to commit. I'd love you to leave a comment and say which of 3 to 5 things you're going to start actioning straight away, so you can start growing your artist collectors list today. And of course, if you've loved this video, please do give it a thumbs up, because it helps other people like you see it. And if you haven't yet, do subscribe to the channel, because every week I post a new video how you can grow a profitable business from your art. Now, when we're talking about email lists, I want to make sure at the end that I leave on the screen here a link to watch the playlist of all things email marketing and building your email list, because this strategy really is the foundation of you building a solid, profitable art business. So don't forget to check that out now. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.